this is Daisy. She's going to be one of the stars of this next film. Daisy, can you say hello? Now, Daisy's a very special dog, as great-grandmother Bernice will tell you. Do you want to say hi?
Hi, Natalie. I'm going to show you how Daisy can do tricks. Maybe you can get your doggy to do these tricks. Okay, watch Daisy now. Daisy, can you sit up pretty? Stay. Good girl. She likes to get her treats every time, though. All right, Daisy, give me a right. Now a left. Very good. Now, can you read for me? All right, Daisy. Daisy, look. Daisy. What does this say? Good girl. What does this one say? Come on, all the way. Good girl. What does this one say? Okay, give me 5, huh? What does this one say? Good girl. Come on. What does it say? What does this one say? Come on. Good girl. That was pretty good. Okay.
Okay, what's next?
Well, I think Daisy's going to jump through the hoop for you, Natalie. You watch her.
What
Watch.
hoop? That?
Okay, Daisy. Good girl.
Do it again. I didn't get it.
Now, sit. Now you stay there. Don't you jump till I say 3. Stay. 1, 2, 3. Good girl. You're learning to count now. That's a good girl. You want to jump some more? Oh, that wasn't very good. Up high. Good girl. Okay, now. This is from Bruce. This is from Natalie. This is from the vet. You don't want that? Well, let's see. This is from Santa Claus. This is from the vet. All right, this is from Mama. And this is from Barbara. Good, she doesn't want to take anything from the vet. But her doctor, I call her vet the doctor. So she don't know. She'll take it from the doctor. All right, what else can you do? Give me 5. Now you give me 2 5s. I only want 1 5. That's good enough. I don't know. Can she do any other tricks?
Well, that's pretty good. Maybe Natalie can do tricks with her dogs and send them to you.
Yeah, and Grandma told you on that card I'd like to have a picture that you drew so I could put it on my refrigerator. So why don't you draw me a picture and send it to me? Okay? Well, I'm going to say bye-bye for now.
Natalie.
I love you.
Natalie.
Bye-bye.
This is your grandpa Bruce from Costa Rica. And I don't know if you still like bedtime stories or not, but this could be one. Anyway, I would like you to read you a story about Snow White, who was a very pretty princess, and her 7 dwarfs. Now, a dwarf is a small person, and you'll see later because I'm going to show you pictures also. And then there was a wicked queen who was mad because Snow White was prettier than her. And I'll tell you about the wicked queen later also. So here we go. Snow White and the 7 dwarfs. And if you can see, this is Snow White. Isn't she pretty? And then her friends, the 7 dwarfs, and I'm going to tell you their names later. And this is the wicked queen. She looks wicked. Okay, here we go. The name of this chapter is Magic Mirror on the Wall. You know what a mirror is when you look at it and see yourself? Well, the name of this is Magic Mirror on the Wall. Once upon a time, there lived a beautiful princess named Snow White. Her stepmother, the queen, was jealous because of Snow White's beauty. And this is a picture of how pretty Snow White was. And all the little animals were her friends because she was so nice and so pretty. That's Snow White. Every day, the queen would ask the mirror, the magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all. Each time, the magic mirror would answer, "You are." But one day, the mirror replied, "A lovely maid or princess I see, who is more fairer than thee." That means who's prettier than you are. "It's Snow White," yelled the queen. And here's a picture of the queen. And here's her magic mirror. And the mirror told the wicked queen that Snow White is prettier and nicer than her. And she was very angry. One day, out in Snow White's yard, she was singing and having a nice time as she was going about doing all of her chores, sweeping, cleaning up, putting her toys away, all of her chores she was doing, and she was happy to do that. But a handsome young prince was riding by and heard her lovely voice singing. He climbed on the castle wall to find her. Snow White was shy, sometimes like you get, Natalie. She was shy, so she ran up to her balcony. And here's the prince who likes Snow White, likes her singing. And here's Snow White while she was doing her chores. She was getting water in the bucket now. From the courtyard below, the prince sang to Snow White. She listened happily to his song and did not see the evil queen that was watching them. Here is Snow White up in her balcony. Here is the prince singing songs to her. And if you look real close, here's the wicked queen watching. She's not happy. You see her? Okay. Very angry and jealous, the queen ordered her huntsman to take Snow White into the forest, into the woods, and kill her. And this is the wicked queen. Boy, she looks mean. And here's the man that she told to take Snow White out in the woods. The huntsman took Snow White deep into the woods, but he could not harm her. She was too nice. He says, "I can't do what the queen wants me to do. Run away, child, and never come back so the queen can't hurt you." And here's Snow White. See how scared she is out in the forest? And here's the man who's going to let her go so the queen can't get her. Snow White ran into the forest, And as she ran, she felt scary eyes watching her. The trees seemed to be reaching out and trying to grab her. With nowhere left to run, she fell to the ground and began to cry. She was so scared. Here's a picture of her running in the woods and all of the eyes looking at her, and she was so scared, the poor little girl. She was so scared that she just laid down and started to cry. Look at all the little animals that came by. They were sad. In the middle of all her tears, Snow White looked up and found herself surrounded by all the little animals of the forest. "Do you know where I can stay?" she asked the little animals. Look at Snow White and all of her friends. They came to help her. Now she's a little happier because she has all of her friends. Do you see the rabbits, birds? And now she wants to know if there's a place she can spend the night because she can't stay out in the woods, if somebody has an extra room for her. Do you have an extra room for Snow White? The friendly animals led Snow White to a tiny little cottage, a little house, out in the woods. "It's like a little dollhouse," said Snow White. She knocked at the door, but no one answered. "Well, maybe I come in," she called. "Can I come in?" she called. Nobody answered. So she slowly stepped inside. And you see, here's the little deer that took Snow White to the look at the little house. It's like a little dollhouse where you keep your dolls. And there it is, the little house. It's pretty, but it's little. As Snow White walked around through the house, she discovered 7 little chairs and 7 little beds. Do you know how many 7 is? That many? Yup, that many is 7. 7 little children must live here, Snow White thought. Well, I'll clean the house for them and surprise them. Maybe then they'll let me stay overnight so I don't have to sleep in the woods. And here's Snow White and all of her little friends helping her clean the house. I wish I had little friends like that to help me do my cleaning, don't you? Now the name of this chapter is The 7 Dwarfs. Now you're going to learn who the dwarfs are. Close by, the 7 dwarfs who owned the little house were busy working in their mine. And a mine is a place where they go dig and work hard to try to get diamonds for those diamond rings and rubies for those ruby necklaces and those nice earrings, emeralds. That's where they get the jewels out of their mine, but they have to work very hard to get them. At 5 o'clock, it was time for the 7 dwarfs to go home. Doc, now here are the dwarfs' names, and I'll go over them again with you. But Doc led Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Sneezy, Bashful, and the last dwarf was Dopey. Doc led them all home, singing and whistling as they went. And here they are. Do you see them all? Can you count them? there are 7. And maybe you can remember their names. They're going home to their little house. When the little dwarfs reached their little house, the light was on. Someone was in their house. They crept real slow inside and real quiet. They tiptoed. On your tiptoes? Real quiet. Upstairs to find Snow White fast asleep with their blankets. "It's a monster," whispered one of the dwarfs, because she was so big and they were so little. "Here, look." They're all being very quiet and sneaking up their stairs, and in their bedroom was a big monster sleeping under the covers. But it was only Snow White. She's no monster, she's nice. Stepping a little closer to Snow White, Doc said, "Why, it's a girl." Snow White sat up and said, "How do you do?" She explained to the dwarfs who she was and what the evil queen had planned for her. Snow White said, "Please don't send me away." She begged, "Please." And here's the dwarfs looking at Snow White. And now she wakes up and she says, "Please don't make me sleep out in the woods. Please let me stay." I would let her stay, wouldn't you? "If you let me stay," Snow White said, "I'll wash and sew, and I'll sweep, and I'll keep my toys all put away, and I'll even put your toys all away." She promised. She says, "I'll even cook for you." When the dwarfs heard that, they shouted, "Hooray! She stays!" And the happy princess ran to the kitchen to start cooking dinner. Oh, the dwarfs were so happy because now somebody was going to do all their work. Snow White was cooking for them, and Snow White got to stay and have a place to sleep so she didn't have to sleep in the woods. Everybody was happy. Happy? The dwarfs ran downstairs to eat, but Snow White says, "Supper is not quite ready. You'll just have time to wash your hands." "Wash?